Good morning, church. Whew. I just want to say a big thank you for allowing me this time today to bring you the 2022 TLG sermon. I don't take it for granted at all that I get to have this slot. It speaks volumes of the elders' love, compassion and vision for this community that I can share with you today. And just on a side note, we have the wonderful Jen bringing us this same sermon to a church in Ross-on-Wye this morning, and another team member called Leanne, who's in Liverpool today. So there's 3 churches today hearing this sermon, hearing God's vision for this country, for the children in this country. So God bless you, Jen. Most of you will know my story, the why as to why I'm so passionate about TLG and what it offers. It involves a long journey of loss, grief and struggles, while at the same time of peace, love and acceptance that only can come from our Father God. I'm not going to do the full story again. I'm not going to do it today. But please, if you want to know it, then come and speak to me and I will happily share it. But what is evident in my story is God's love shown through many different people and avenues. Deliveries of food, both regularly and at crucial times. Caring teachers who spent time listening and talking to myself and my brother. Family friends who included us in their holidays and special events. People taking us under their wings to shelter us, support us and love us. All of these people were sent by God, whether they knew it or not. And so 38 years later, I can stand here today and be a testament to God's love, God's grace, God's compassion, his security, his forgiveness, and hopefully be a channel of God's love to so many today who are hurting, broken, and lost. Whew, that's the hard bit over with. So September saw a huge shift in our family life with us, with me becoming actually employed by TLG as a regional leader. So this means that I now get to spend time and visit churches throughout the Southwest, encouraging them as they run all of our programs. I really do feel so blessed that God has placed me with my feet both firmly in the local community through the Bridge Church and then with TLG to gain more knowledge and encouragement for all that God is doing nationally. We've been doing early intervention here at the Bridge in our 3 local schools since February 2019. And next week, Vision Sunday, we'll go into many more statistics about hours worked and children's coached. But today, before I share the sermon with you, I just want to thank all of the coaches who have played a part in our journey from the beginning. So if you're a current or a past coach, please stand up. I'm going to embarrass you now. So if you've done it, if you were first, Laura, Jan, thank you guys. Thank you. And there's many, many more actually who aren't here today or on Bridge. 2 out on Bridge Kids today. Thank you so much. So God has placed me in this position and us as a church in this position. And for both of those positions, I am so grateful. So here we go. Highway of Hope. The official 2022 TLG talk. Which button do I press? The arrow. Just checking. So as part of the national TLG speaker team, I'm here today to share the heart and the vision God has given us to partner with local churches to see transformation in the lives of families across the UK. Today we're going to look at together some of the challenges faced by struggling children and their parents. I'm going to be sharing with you something of God's heart for those who are struggling. And I want to let you know some of the ways that personally you can join with thousands of others in the TLG movement. So let's read, I clicked a bit too early, Isaiah 40, verses 1 to 5 from the Message. Comfort, O comfort my people, says your God. Speak softly and tenderly to Jerusalem, but also make it very clear that she has served her sentence, that her skin is taken care of, forgiven. She's been punished enough and more than enough, and now it's over and done with. Thunder in the desert, prepare for God's arrival. Make the road straight and smooth, a highway fit for our God. Fill in the valleys, level off the hills, smooth out the ruts, clear out the rocks. Then God's bright glory will shine and everyone will see it. Yes, just as God has said. So when we look at the first couple of verses of this passage from Isaiah 40, comfort, oh comfort my people. She's been punished enough and more than enough, and now it's over and done with. We see God's heart to bring comfort to the people of Israel. In this passage, we see desire to bring comfort to all of us, but in particular to those with hurting hearts. We see God's heart for the people of Israel who have been in captivity and experienced destruction. But it reminds us we are all waiting for God even now to bring his justice on an oppressive systems, to bring his kingdom of justice, peace and love. When we look at our own statistics in our nation today, we can resonate with that sense of captivity and injustice. These are a bit tough to listen to sometimes, but really hitting home. So did you know that in our nation today, there are 4.3 million children living in poverty? Devastatingly, this has increased by 500,000 in the past 5 years. This has had a huge impact on parents, with 1 in 3 parents saying that they have missed a meal in order to feed their children. In the wake of the pandemic, the NHS are estimating that an extra 1.5 million children and young people will require mental health support in the next 5 years. In the last full academic year, there were over 418,000 school exclusions, and around 25,000 of them were children as young as the age 5. Primary school children, 25,000 primary school children last year were excluded. That means children as young as 5 are being told that they don't fit into the system, being put on a path which statistically leads them to potential unemployment, poverty, gang involvement, imprisonment, and suicide. And we can see the injustice on a greater scale when we recognise that poor children are 4 times more likely to be excluded. These statistics are heartbreaking, and they are not okay. They are not okay in this country. What follows in Isaiah is what we believe is God's call to the church today. Prepare for God's arrival. Make the road straight and smooth, a highway fit for God. Fill in the valleys, level off the hills. So imagine with me the most treacherous road in Bolivia and a man called Alfredo. Alfredo's job is to transport timber from Ixmius, which is situated in the tropical lowlands of Bolivia, to the mega city of La Paz along Yungas Road, otherwise known as Death Road. This journey can take up to 3 days. This road can be extremely dusty. Then when it rains, mud forms. As the truck gets stuck in the mud, drivers have to abandon their vehicles to physically find the holes in the road and fill them with stones and leaves to provide the traction the trucks need to move forward. There are many sections of the road where the drivers find themselves on an extremely narrow path, with rocks jutting out on one side, vehicles and deep valleys and vast canyons drop down on the other. Many people drive with their head out of the window, keeping their eyes on the edge of the path to ensure they don't fall the almost certain drop to death. And if you were to come across another vehicle, well, backwards is not an option. It's far too dangerous on these roads. There are only a few passing places between hope and fear. It's a case of look out and off you go. At times, sections of the road break off and fall away. Trucks fall and lives are lost. Can you imagine this as your path in life? Feeling so overwhelmed by potential danger and constantly consumed by worry. This is the reality for so many of the young people that we work with. Their path might look like exclusion, rejection, anxiety, jail, and even shorter life expectancy. As Alfredo reaches the last 2 kilometres of his long journey, the road to La Paz is finally paved. After 3 days of treacherous driving conditions, the road is finally smooth and straight. And the first thing he does is to thank God for sparing his life. He knows that he is on the final stretch of his journey now. He is safe. For many children around the UK, their journey feels fraught with pain and worry. But what if it doesn't have to be like this? So at TLG, we have an exciting opportunity, along with our incredible partner churches, which we at the Bridge are, to pave the way for broken lives, to be road builders, to make a clear highway of hope. We are preparing a way for God's glory to shine. We are carving a way for connection with the local church. So picture again the last 2 kilometres for Alfredo. After 3 days of terrifying driving, to finally feel safe, feel reassured, free from worry, on a broad road of hope. Back in Isaiah, the scripture calls us to fill in the valleys, level off the hills, smooth out the ruts, clear out the rocks. Isn't this an incredible mandate for us as followers of Jesus Christ? This is the transformation that we are so desperate to see at TLG. Thank you. For the past 20 years, there have been careful programme building within TLG, developing our education centres, recognising the need for early intervention and pioneering that, then developing the Make Lunch programme after seeing the practical needs our families were facing. In that time, God has raised up over 220 churches across the nation to reach out to struggling children and families through one of these 3 programmes. I'd just like to take a little look, a little clip.
Since I've had Beth, she's been a star to me.
For once, I actually felt like someone was actually wanted to listen.
It's a very creative place and you can make loads of new friends.
Thank you, TLG.
Thank you.
Thank you, TLG.
Everything TLG does is to equip the local church to bring a hope and a future to the lives of struggling children. In our 11 education centres, excluded children are being included and helped back into mainstream school. Across our 138 early intervention churches, children are being shown the unconditional love of God by their coaches on a weekly basis. In our 113 Make Lunch clubs, relationships of trust are being built between the local church and their communities. And what does this all mean? It means that the valleys are being filled in. Opportunities that have been missing for these children are being provided, and gaps are being slowly bridged. Large hills and barriers that these families are facing are being broken down and even removed. Ruts are being smoothed out and rocks are being cleared away. We are so blessed to experience this and to partner with God in the work he is doing amongst struggling children and their families right across this nation. I'm going to show you a little clip now. Some of you might have already seen this. It's called Sophie and Ellis. And this is a family who were in real turmoil during lockdown, just before lockdown, during lockdown, and who've experienced TLG's love. So yeah, just watch this great clip.
Life before TLG involved a lot of heartache because my husband had been very ill and the children needed a lot of help that I just wasn't able to give them. Both my children had a trauma diagnosis, which meant they couldn't concentrate, they lacked focus. As a mum, you want to do right by your kids, but I also had a husband that needed me all the time. So I feel guilt for not being around the children, or I feel guilt because I wasn't where my husband needed me. There was this huge burden of responsibility all the time because I couldn't be everything to everybody.
I started coaching when my dad died. Before the coaching with TLG started, I always used to be really stressed because of schoolwork and I didn't really have many friends, so I would just play alone most of the time. Well, I would just go and sit by this board where everyone would play and I'd just watch everyone else play and just think about things.
It was really hard, so I just felt all alone, and I used to crawl up in a little ball under my bed and just hide.
Watching your kids go through that and knowing you can't do anything to help them is rubbish. But we got there.
My name's Helen Shadbolt and I was an early intervention coach for Sophie.
And then when Helen was there, I always had someone to play with. It was actually quite exciting and it felt like I finally had someone there for me.
I found school really hard, and she used to come and take me out of class and we'd do stuff that I liked to do. And it would make that part of school loads easier for me. It was just like a huge relief. And it wasn't so hard for me anymore.
She was just a bundle of joy and happiness, and she was so pleased just to meet me, and the feeling was mutual. You're really thriving now at school, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're doing so well.
I used to be behind, but now I've caught up. You were like someone who was always there for me and you were like a best friend.
So the boxes of hope started arriving during the first COVID lockdown. I have health issues, which meant that I was actually isolating for the best part of 15 months. And the boxes of hope were more than just the food that were being delivered. It was a friendly face every week, somebody that I could chat to. I was locked up with 2 kids. It was hard work being a mum, it was hard work being a teacher, and it was really hard carrying all of that whilst also having health issues myself.
It's been a real link where we've connected well with the community in so many different ways, where we've sort of reached families that maybe we wouldn't have reached in other ways. People have actually stepped up and just been amazing as coaches, and for Make Lunch, it's just been great.
So I was very grateful for just the level of support that they did give, because not only were they supporting the kids, but by supporting the kids I was being supported. And slowly and surely, I've got both my kids back again now. There are certain things come into our lives and they're God-given, and I knew that TLG was there and had been given to us. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
Thanks, TLG.
Yeah, I'm privileged actually in my role that I get to partner with the church that runs Sophie and Ellis's Centre, and actually the family are in church. They go regularly to church. They're being nurtured, they're being cared for, and they're part of a loving community. And it's great. It is great. And I hear many stories of them all. Beautiful family. Right. Our prayer at TLG is that we would see many more lives transformed. I want to take a few minutes to ask you to stand with us as TLG as we seek to extend our reach so that more struggling children like Sophie and Ellis can be supported. Our vision is a big one because the need is big and only getting bigger. We want to ensure that every child who needs help receives that help, and local churches begin to experience ripples of transformation for generations to come. By 2025, we want to be supporting 10,000 children every single year through partnership with the local church. The last 2 years have been particularly challenging, and the funding landscape is as bleak at the moment as it's ever been. We are hearing and know that churches are struggling, but that children are struggling as well. On the other hand, the local church is desperate to act and to start road building. We have seen one new church partner join with us every other week since September, but we need the finances to enable us to support them to do this. So at the start, I said I'd give you an opportunity to join with thousands of others who believe that every single child deserves hope and a future. So here's your chance to play that part in that vision. And between us all here this morning, I'm sure we can make a difference. So under your chair, you'll see, or on chair next to you, there's a leaflet and a pen, just like this one. Or fancy. If you're online, you can scan the QR code. Who knew? By simply filling out the initial contact information in this leaflet, it will mean that you can be kept in touch with everything that God is doing through TLG, to access more of our incredible stories of transformation. By handing that in this morning, you'll also receive a free copy of the book written by our CEO and Chief Executive, Tim Morfin, who actually started the charity 20 plus years ago. And I also like to take this opportunity to ask you to consider becoming a hope giver. Hope givers are those people who faithfully give to enable us to grow our impact in order to reach those 10,000 struggling children a year. The need is urgent, and growing the reach of our work and partnering with many more churches depends on the generous gifts of our supporters. This is something that everyone can do, because even donating a few pounds a month, the cost of a coffee and cake, can make a huge difference. Even more excitingly, every Hope Giver amount pledged today or online by tonight is going to be matched funded for a year by some very generous TLG supporters who share our visions and are passionate about reaching more children, meaning that your money is essentially doubled. If you have your bank details with you today, then please fill those in if you feel that it's something that you would like to be a part of. If you don't have them with you, then you can fill in your contact details and indicate that you would like to become a Hope Giver. And as long as your phone number or email are on that form, then somebody from head office will be in touch with you. And obviously, if you're a tax payer, then please tick the gift aid box. There's also a similar monthly initiative for businesses called Future Builder, for businesses of any size to be able to make a difference to struggling children. So if you know someone who has a business who may be interested, then come and see me after and have a word. I've got some books and some flyers, some bits and pieces at the front. So after the service, I'll just hang around. So if you do want to chat or hand forms in or speak to me more about it, then please come and find me. Yeah, so just to close, I just want to thank you all for standing with us as a church as we run early intervention, for the prayer support we get, for the encouragement we get from this church is amazing, and I just want to thank you all. Whatever part you play in that, thank you. And thank you for giving me the space today to raise the profile of TLG. If anything you've heard today has stirred you, if anything has impacted you, I know some of those statistics were hard, some of the clips were hard, then please come and speak to me or speak to anybody on the leadership team. We'd love to pray for you if it's impacted you in that way. Yeah, we'd love you to get resolution and to put you on that path of hope. If you've got any questions about early intervention, then please come and speak to me or anybody that you saw stood up earlier, or just ask for a name and we can pass a name on if you would like to talk to somebody else about it. We'd be more than happy to talk about early intervention. We'd be more than happy to sign more coaches up. We'd be more than happy to get more prayer partners involved. The schools are desperate. They quite often ask, have you got anyone else? So yeah, if you are stirred in any way at all today, then please come and find me after the service. I'd love to talk to you. I think that's about it, Martin. I don't know how to end, so I'll just end.